All right. Welcome, everyone, to the February 21st Public Safety Committee meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First order of business is to approve the minutes of January 17th. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Nelson, second. Mr. Landy, all approved, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is privilege of the floor. Is there anyone here to speak to the privilege of the floor? Seeing no one, we will move on to the first proposed resolution, which is to confirm reappointments for the Chautauqua County Advisory Board.
Fire advisory.
Welcome.
James Feldman from the County Executive's Office.
Bonnie Peters from Emergency Services.
Okay.
So we are putting this through, these are actually all appointments that were confirmed last month, but the date on it was incorrect, so this is correcting the date to extend their term to January 31st of 2025.
Oh, okay. Every one of them.
Yes, yep.
Okay.
So it's all the same people from last month, but just putting,
That's, I
yep,
had
extending
a
the
little
date.
deja vu when I looked at
Yes.
it, and I'm like, okay. So it's just the date.
Yep.
Any questions?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Second proposed resolution is to amend the 2023 budget for year-end reconciliations from probation. Is there anyone?
He's on his way down.
He's on his way. There he is.
Good evening.
Hello.
I was planning for a conference and almost missed this, and I would have been sorry about that.
If you could just identify yourself for the Facebook public.
My name is Gilbert Taylor. I'm the Director of Probation.
Thank you.
So basically, we're just trying to move money from our appropriation accounts and decrease them from someone changing, as I spoke to Jen, health insurance levels and going from one to the other, or what it was. I thought we were actually in pretty good shape with our budget when it came to employee benefits for holding off some positions, but this is just what that must be.
Okay. Any questions? Concerns? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And for those of you I haven't met yet, welcome to legislators.
Thank you. Okay, our third proposed resolution is to authorize the acceptance of criminal justice discovery and bail reform funding.
Good afternoon, committee. Madeline Contaculia from the District Attorney's Office. So the resolution I have for you today is to authorize the acceptance of the criminal justice discovery and bail reform funding. I'm sure, as you're aware, and for those of you who are not aware, the bail reform and discovery reform laws that took effect in 2020 have increased some of the workload and expenses that we have in the DA's office. And New York State has provided us with funding over the last two cycles to assist with the costs associated with the increased expenses that we have for the bail reform and the discovery reform laws. So New York State has awarded us a total of $889,225 to be kind of the third installment of the discovery and bail reform funding. We are proposing to use this in the DA's budget for contracts with the local police departments, the municipal police departments, because a portion of that is to be shared with the departments to also offset their costs associated with the discovery and the bail reform laws. And we are also proposing to spend some of it with the probation department. So we are asking to amend our budget for 2024 to increase our appropriations by 92,400 for the municipal contract, for the contracts with the municipal police departments. We're also proposing to increase probation's budget by 20,000 for training expenses with pretrial services. The portion of the funds that are going to be in the subsequent budgets will be included when we do our tentative budgets for 2025 and 2026.
So this is the third installment of how many?
We're not sure, so we don't expect to get it each year, but so far we've been lucky enough to have received it for 3 years so far. We typically are able to use it for multiple years, so we've been using it for about 2 to 3 years. So the first cycle is going to be the funding is going to be complete by the end of this year. The second cycle, we're in the middle of it, and then the third cycle will likely start using the bulk of it in 2025, but we are using a portion of it in 2024.
And the breakdown, is there a breakdown of the local departments? See, Fredonia, Westfield, Lakewood.
I don't have that in front of me right now, but it's about, off the top of my head, Fredonia is getting about 15,000, Westfield is getting about 10,000, the village of Lakewood and Busti is getting about 16,000, town of Ellicott is getting about 20,000, city of Dunkirk is getting about 10,000, and the city of Jamestown is getting about 20,000. And that was that they supplied our office with kind of items that they need to help their departments with complying with the discovery laws. It went through me and the district attorney, and we decided about the amounts. We did have to cut some of their asks down because we are to prioritize the DA's office in this funding, while also supplying funding to the other departments.
Okay. Any questions?
No, just glad we're getting it.
Yep. We expect to get something again next year, but we're not sure.
So this is a budget neutral,
Yes.
I mean,
Yep.
there's no effect.
Yeah, so we're increasing our contractual expenses and our equipment expenses, but also increasing our revenue accounts. Yep, so there's no effect on the local share.
Anything else?
Is there a plan if this gets discontinued? Do you have a backup plan?
We have yes, we do. We're planning on absorbing the overages. So we've added some positions. We're planning on absorbing them into our budget, but we're looking to where we can shave off some other expenses to account for the personnel expenses. But right now we have been getting the money, so right now it's not been a problem.
So this is out there ongoing. We just are unsure of whether we'll get.
We're unsure as how long they're going to be supplying the funding to us.
All right.
I'm good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think I'm up next.
Okay, maybe, yeah. And where are we here? Number 4, amend 2023 budget to increase funding for the District Attorney Office Expansion Project within the Chautauqua County American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA spending plan.
So Madeline Contiglia again for the DA's office. We are requesting to increase our ARPA plan budget by $25,000 to complete the remainder of our project. I think in 2021 or 2022, we requested ARPA funds to expand the old print shop area as part of our office. So we've completely remodeled that space. We've added many workstations. We added a conference room. We've completely redone the heating and air conditioning units and the walls. We just need the $25,000 to complete the project. It was slightly over budget from what we had, and so we submitted this to the ARPA work group, and they approved the increase. And so we're just here to ask for the budget amendment.
That was my question. Did ARPA work group approve it?
Yes.
And has the original ARPA money been expended for the?
Yes,
It's gone out, it's gone over budget.
Yeah, so we have spent what we were originally given, which was $100,000. And so the HVAC system was our largest expense because it had to be completely redone. And so that was about $35,000. So we were over the budget by $25,000 with the HVAC.
That the surprise?
Yeah, that was, we expected it to be a large expense, but maybe not as large as it was.
Yeah. This is an old building.
Right.
How old is this building?
I don't know.
Older than you.
Older than
Say,
me.
But I think, when was it built? Early 70s, I bet, or late 60s. So that's why I think those things are more expensive than you planned for, or
Right.
hoped for. Yeah.
Well, we would love for you to come down and see our new office space if you would like to.
I'll take you up, and I would like to see that sometime.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, resolution number 5, to amend the 2023 budget for year-end reconciliations emergency services. Welcome back.
Thank you. First off, Noel sends his regrets. He was trying to get here and got stuck at a meeting longer than anticipated. Bonnie Peters for Emergency Services. This is our resolution to amend our 23 year-end reconciliation. We were able to balance everything within our department.
Okay.
Come on, Bonnie, budget neutral.
Budget neutral. This one's budget neutral.
All right. I didn't see anything here that was, except for maybe the $93,000 over. Is it? But it just, you decreased the appropriation for the personal services, so. Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And number 6, authorize the execution of Northern Chautauqua Community Foundation Impact Grant.
This is what we expect to be a one-time grant for our continuing education. This will be, last month we brought to you the one for the South County. This will be for the North County to do a Stop the Bleed outfitting in the schools for the Northern County. So it's what we expect to be a one-time grant.
Can you explain what Stop the Bleed is? I'm somewhat familiar with it, but.
So it will be a CPR class that will be more, this is my understanding, okay? So Noel would be the expert.
Right.
But it's my understanding that this is going to be going into the schools and working with the teachers, the students, to go over if there should be an issue that someone would need to, have more than a.
I think they came to Frewsburg last year, I believe.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
Yep, yes. And so the community has asked them to come into the schools. So in order to do that, Josh Shawman is our person, and he put in for these grants and was approved for both of these, both these grants.
He does a terrific job.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know it's a good program. And I'm glad to see it going into the schools and teaching the kids.
Exactly, yes.
I wasn't sure if it was CPR or not, but Stop the Bleed doesn't sound like CPR, but. I don't-
Again, Noel would be the
No, I know,
expert
I
on
get
that,
it.
so I apologize, I don't have a better answer, but I know that it is, again, to go into the schools,
Yeah.
so, yeah,
Whatever it is, if it's in the schools, is fine.
we're happy.
So, any questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank
And-
you.
Okay, that's not you. Thanks, Bonnie. Number 7, proposed resolution to amend the 2023 budget for year-end reconciliation for Office of the Sheriff.
Riley Enlow, Fiscal Supervisor, Office of the Sheriff.
Corey Lymaster, Senior Communications Technician with the Sheriff's Office.
All right.
So the first resolution we have in front of you is to amend the 2023 budget for year-end reconciliations for the Office of the Sheriff. All of our departments were able to be balanced within the department, and so it's a budget neutral amendment. I do want to note that the E911 and the W911 departments do have to take money from the reserve account, which earlier in the year we had to do a couple of amendments and we planned on this happening. There is one project in particular that was supposed to be paid for a grant and it was unable to be paid for a grant prior due to, I don't really.
It fell outside of the period of performance when the contract was signed, from, the person who was managing the grants before us,
Yeah.
so. Not Jen in the back of the room either,
Not
but
done.
it was,
Who are you throwing under the bus here?
So we didn't get it done in time.
We didn't,
so the contract was signed before the period of performance for the grants, which it has to be signed in that period. So in that year or 2 year span, and because it was signed outside of that, that grant money could not be used for that project.
But was that grant money used for something else?
Correct,
Yes.
it was, yes.
Okay.
So we have this reserve, which is the 911 surcharge that's on the landline and the cell phones,
Yeah.
that we can use for maintenance and projects that fit that criteria.
And it can only be used, that reserve fund can only be used for W911 and E911. It can't be used for any other departments.
That's
Yes.
what that charge is for, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
I always wondered.
yeah.
So that is a reserve. Is this fund balance?
No, none of
This is the 911.
It's a reserve.
Reserve, not out of the,
Okay. I was,
not out of the fund balance.
not out of fund balance.
So that reserve comes from a surplus of the fees that are budgeted versus what's received. So any years that there's been a surplus, that excess funding has been put into a reserve fund because it's earmarked for a very specific uses and very
Yeah.
specific purposes in both cases. So they, each E and W both have their own reserve accounts because there's specific spending requirements tied to each pool of funding.
Okay.
And the project that actually caused the overage was actually around $363,000. So we were able to leverage other funding sources to where this is the only, overage. So it's not the full amount of the grant that's over, it's just that one small amount, so, well, relatively small.
What was the project?
It was for the 911 phone system upgrade for
upgrade.
the dispatch centers, so.
Okay, yeah, I was a little confused on, but
Okay.
that's, any other questions? Any questions? Concerns?
Nope.
All in favor?
So, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, you have a corrected copy of the resolution?
Oh, is this, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I do. Where'd I put it? This is that one. Okay.
So what you
So we-
need to do is,
We have to
after you
amend it.
discuss the
Yeah.
corrections, you need to have a motion to amend by
Amend it.
substitution.
Okay.
And it's just the amendment up from 78, 156 to 131, 215.
And then on the reverse side?
And we are eliminating, increasing the revenue accounts, 55,000. 59. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to amend the resolution?
I'll move to amend the resolution.
Second.
Seconded? Okay. All in favor of amending the resolution?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor of the amended resolution?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Okay. That is that. I'm sorry for not catching that. Thank you, Mr. Shagnon.
You're welcome.
Okay, proposed resolution number 8 to authorize the lease agreement with the Village of Mayville.
Okay, so this next resolution is to authorize a lease with the Village of Mayville for the re-entry hub. It's part of the COSAP grant. It's to reduce recidivism and increase safety in the community. The CARES coordinator and other staffing will be housed in this building, and it's basically they're going to be providing services to individuals to transition back into community.
And this was a discussion we had, was it last month? Or was it December?
I believe so. I believe
Last
we've
month,
been
yeah.
talking about it for a while.
Yeah. I know.
Well,
Tom-
yeah, I had a question about the amount, $4,500. If it was $450 a month for a year, wouldn't it be $5,400 for the year? And the amount here is $4,500.
Yes.
Then we wondered if it was just between now and the end of the year, or?
Yes, I believe this is
It's
through.
effective March 1st. Does it go through to the end of February 2025?
It,
No,
it says
just
a
for-
one-year term in the term, which,
But you're amending the
we're thinking
2024 budget
Yeah.
for 10 months,
yeah.
right?
Well, I know.
Even though the term of the contract is longer,
Okay.
we'll have to include the balance in next year's budget.
In the
I see.
2025 budget.
Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. Answer it?
Yeah. mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Good question, though, Tom.
Yeah.
Good catch.
So, and this was what we discussed, and I know that changed from the discussion in January to the building to the village, an office within the village offices.
Yes.
And as I represent Mayville, and I was at the Village of Mayville meeting, I know the village passed this, accepted it, and I know it's a lot better solution for the business owners and residents in Mayville. I know they weren't happy with the original proposition. And this is a good compromise, I think, negotiated by the mayor and the sheriff, and I think it's a good program. And I look forward to seeing how it works, if we pass it. So are there
No,
any
I
other
think
questions?
Great program, and just finding the right place where it works for the sheriff's department and for the people in Mayville, that was the key. So, no, I think it's a great thing.
I guess my only other question, now the $4,500 is covered under the grant, correct?
Yes, it's
Yeah.
covered completely by the
And
grant.
all of the other expenses involved, labor, et cetera,
Is all covered by the grant as well.
is all covered by the grant as well? Okay, but this is just the lease that we
Yes.
are moving now, okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Number 9, proposed resolution to authorize the execution of New York State Office of Homeland Security statewide interoperable communications grant, SICG program for the fiscal year 2023.
Go for it.
This is a formula-based grant that we receive every year. This is the state giving back to us a portion of the 911 surcharge that doesn't stay locally. That's how they fund this, the SIG grant and the PSAP grant that we're gonna discuss next. It is included in the budget. So. Any questions?
You know, I'm kind of new to this. I always wonder, would we ever turn down a grant? I mean, if there were strings attached or something, maybe some of the requirements, but,
I know on the sheriff's office side of things, the grants do have certain requirements that we have to meet, certain things that we can use the funding on or what we can't use the funding on.
Yeah.
That's all written into the, the RFAs and the contracts, so I don't know if there's ever been any that have been turned down, because usually it's an
Right.
active process to get the grant.
right, we applied, so. why would
And
we turn it down?
also, with the grants, and we're receiving most of these grants, the grants that I've seen at the sheriff's office. Most of them are not matching funds from the county, so it's reducing the fund balance that we're using.
Right.
So why not take the grant,
not?
I guess.
What is statewide interoperable communications?
That's a good question.
So interoperability is, the state defines it as the ability to communicate with voice or data anytime as needed by first responders on the scene. So it's radio communications, it's data communications, like in-car, systems and stuff like that. The large portion of this grant that we're using is for our maintenance agreement that we have with Motorola for our radio system. It's called our SUA payment. It's basically like a lease payment for them to do a portion of the maintenance on our radio system. If equipment goes out of date or is no longer supported, they will replace it as part of this program. So that's a big portion of this grant goes towards that. So.
And this is money derived from the 911 surcharge that doesn't stay locally, it goes to the
Correct.
state?
There's a portion, yes.
And then it's formula-based?
The SIG formula is this one. There's the formula for SIG. There's the formula for PSAP, which is the next one.
Yeah.
And then there's also targeted grants that they do every year or every 2 years to where you can do bigger projects. Those are usually a larger funding amount. So
Interesting. Any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution number 10, to authorize the execution of New York State Office of Homeland Security Public Safety Answering Point, PSAP, grant fiscal year 2023.
So this grant is for specifically for dispatchers. It funds partial salaries of 5 dispatchers, up to $33,514.80 per dispatcher. So this helps cut down the cost that we're absorbing for the dispatchers. And the performance period usually is only 1 year long. This year, because the grant was released so late, they extended it to 2024, but we've already spent the cost in 2023 and have the whole entire grant spent already.
It's
So,
already spent.
yes.
So how does that affect our budget for '24?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
it's a reimbursement grant.
Yeah.
So
You spent
as
it.
long as it's within that performance period for the grant, we can submit those costs to be reimbursed. So this is the
This is
point.
typically an annual grant. The problem is the process has been pushed later and later and later. It still applies to typically one fiscal year. In this case, they extended it because the application process was so late. But the anticipation would be that there would be another funding stream available for 2024, same as there has been, years prior.
Right.
Just the process has been significantly delayed. So they're just getting the award now, but they know that they can anticipate it because they're notified right around spring. Right now is typically when the RFAs, I think you said, Corey?
Yeah.
Mayish?
So the first year that I did these grants, the applications were due in February. This last year, they were due in May. So, it's already 3 months behind on that process. So, 2024, they said in September at the grant workshop in Buffalo that they would be out soon. And now we're in
Still haven't
February,
seen
so,
anything. Yeah.
So,
And-
but
and
we're
that's-
receiving the money now in '24?
No,
No, we accrued it back into 2023.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
yeah.
That's the part this thickhead was missing.
We knew the amount that we were receiving back, I believe, back in October, and it was already budgeted for
budgeted
in the
and accrued.
2023
Okay.
budget. So we accrued the exact amount.
That's the part I was missing, the accrued, so. Eesh, okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there, oh, we have another, yeah, we got another, no, not you. I am not Terry Nebel. So we have a
okay.
late resolution for the purchase of a 2002 Ford ambulance from the Kyantone Independent Fire Department. And Phil, you guys got it on your desk? Okay.
Bonnie Peters, Emergency Services. So, we've been working on this for a bit and did not expect it to get done quite so quickly. So the law department asked if we would bring it to you guys as a late resolution. So what this is that Kyantone owns a ambulance free and clear that they are no longer using. So, we made an agreement with them, and worked with our attorney, Todd Thomas, to agree to purchase this ambulance for $18,000. But what we will do is we will use our ALS Intercept funds to pay for it. So we have an agreement with them to pay us the Intercept fees as our people go in and help them on their calls. So that $18,000 will just get deducted by the amount of the calls until that $18,000 is paid in full. We have a 2-year, I believe it's a 2-year agreement, but this new agreement that we would have, it would say that that agreement continues until this $18,000 is paid for. So whether, we again, as I say to you guys, often we can't predict the amount of calls that we will have. So we don't know if it'll be 1 year, 2 years, 5 years to pay this off. So that is what you have in front of you.
Mr. Chairman, I might just, for the benefit of the newer legislators, clarify that when county EMS provides ALS, Advanced Life Support Services, to a fire department, there's a charge of $250. So that's the charge that Bonnie is referring to, is that every time they respond for services to be provided, the fire district owes the county $250. So that would be applied against this $18,000 debt.
Correct.
Do we have some history as to how often, can we predict from?
We don't, because my understanding is that is a fairly new program. So we
Well, I
tried.
just mean number of calls that we've.
So we tried to.
Average per month.
Right. So we kind of tried to go back to see if we could say, that we anticipated this being paid in 2 years or something, but there's not enough data in the past for us to have any sort of prediction whether, do we do 1 call a month with them or 10 calls a month. It just there wasn't enough history there for us to feel comfortable with giving any sort of, that we might get it paid in 2 years. We just don't know. There's not enough history for.
This has only been in place for a year? I can't remember.
Less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year.
Okay.
That 250.
So it's a 2002 vehicle? It's 22 years old? I haven't seen it. I have no idea how it looks. Is this a pretty good deal? I guess is my question. And what does a new one cost? And I've actually talked to Bob Bankowski earlier today about that. I know they're quite expensive, but.
Yes. So again, I don't know these answers, but I do know that we did last year. We purchased one from Village of Fredonia. Shortly before that, we also purchased one from Village of Lakewood. So, my understanding is that the ambulance themselves are, quality. It doesn't mean that the guys might determine that it doesn't need to have a, some sort of cot in it or something. I think one of them, we had to put in I don't know the right words, an electric type cot to help with the movement of the individuals. So it might be something like that, but both Kind Tone and our senior medics reviewed it and believed that this to be a fair price.
Tom, I think I can give you some more background to your question. I believe this ambulance has 16,000 miles on it.
So that's low mileage.
It's low mileage.
Can I drive it?
No, no.
They won't let me drive it either, so don't feel bad.
And for perspective, the EMS has 2 ambulances, and yesterday they were both out of service because they were in for repairs. So yesterday, we had no ambulance to provide service with,
So I
so,
don't doubt the need
yes,
at all.
okay.
Yeah,
Just additional perspective.
yeah.
How come Kind Tone's giving it up? What, they don't need it, or they got a new one?
Again, I'm sorry, I don't know that answer.
Sorry,
but
Phil, I didn't get the answer to that one.
I mean, again, I can call Nolan, we can put him on speaker, but I apologize, I don't know that answer. I just know that they have it and they own it free and clear, and all parts of this have already gone through, as I said, Todd Thomas in our law department, and he helped to write up the contract. So we, we're asking for the county exec to be authorized to agree to that.
And we will be taking possession of it.
That is, yes,
Prior to it being paid
that's
for.
true. And, again, if you look, I took it right out of the contract that we have with them, that, the county will get the ambulance, and we will pay them back that $18,000 without interest until it is paid in full. So, yes.
And I was gonna ask, why do we need it, but I think Pierre answered that.
Yes.
I wish we didn't, but I'm
Right.
sure it's needed.
Um,
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No, I was,
Comments,
Bob had told
concerns?
me what a new one cost earlier today, and I can't find it, but it was,
How much is the new one?
Couple $100,000.
I think over 200,000,
Mhm.
yeah.
So we did purchase that, remember last year when we decided that we were going to do the transport vehicle? And so we did purchase that one. The time frame of getting it was exceptionally long as well. But that one is set up more to do the transports. This one is set up more to be a vehicle to, go to the scene and help with whatever's needed and transport to a local hospital, if needed.
I think I know the
Okay.
answer to this, but we don't need another, is it a certificate of need number?
No,
It's that one number,
so again, I'm not Noel,
okay.
but it's my understanding that yes, we have that certificate of need and that takes care of, all of the things that we will do. So what the people have told me in the past is that, the state does come out and check over the ambulance and make sure that it's, up to code and all of that business before. That's my understanding,
Right.
my
Okay.
very
All right.
limited understanding.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Is there any other? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you. So,
You got some signing to do there. It's like
do.
buying a house.
You got one for the next meeting?
Make sure I sign them.